what I'm asked to talk about, let me start with spatial justice. Everyone must understand spatial justice in the context of this country. Spatial justice means addressing the imbalances that exist in land in this country. And if one starts, if you look at it, say, look at the history of this country. If a single word best describes the history of this country since 1652, that's 300 odd years ago, the word is dispossession. This country was founded on dispossession. It was founded upon the dispossession of land. It was founded upon the dispossession of assets. It was founded upon the exploitation of the material welfare of our people and the mineral wealth of the country. Sorry about that. In my court, that's contempt of court. Okay. This is not a Shia mosque. So let's stop there now. Yes, the dispossession, which is of crucial, cardinal importance in this country. But what has happened since then? We know the history of the country for 350 years. What did the Constitution bring about? Many of us acclaim the Constitution as a great gain for democracy. It was indeed a great gain for democracy. You got the vote. I became a judge, but that is debatable whether that's an asset or a debit. But the important thing is this, that the Constitution, perhaps a cynical way of looking at it, legitimized the ill-gotten gains of the public. The Constitution recognized property, and it said henceforth everybody has property rights, and the property rights were as they were at the advent of democracy. So in other words, the people of this country have found the Constitution cheating them in a sense, because it reinforced the existing wealth of the country. It exists, the wealth structure in this country. And no attempts have been made to address that over the years. It is true, and perhaps Mr. Jarvis will disagree with me if I may take a little bit back in history. The policy of the ruling party was always the land belongs to all, the land belongs to all who live in it. Because the ANC was formed in 1912, at the time when the Land Acts were first placed, became law in this country. But what is often not told is when the Land Act was finalized, the Herzog Bills became law in 1936. There was no ANC. The ANC was in a decline. It was in decline. There was no organized opposition to the Herzog Bills in 1936. The ANC was then in a state of decline for those 10, 20 years. It only came up again in the late 40s and 50s. And the campaign against land disposition in 1936 was led by the All Africa Convention. It was led of which the non-European unity movement was part. And in 1943, when they adopted the program, one sees for the first time in the history of the country the phrase, there shall be a redistribution of land in this country. There shall be redistribution, but it's qualified in accordance with the above democratic principles. Now that movement failed quite obviously. Many people say it failed because it was armchair critics, intellectuals and so on. But the reality is that it failed because it was ahead of its time. Today, one sees the failure of democracy all over the world. One sees in the United States, when entire people elect a buffoon just Tom to lead that country. One sees extreme right-wing emerging by popular vote in Brazil. In this country, in the very city we live in, one sees a political party elected to provincial power simply exists on spin, and its national leader is of the Christian right, siding with Bibi Netanyahu. So one sees democracy, people don't fail. It's a system that's failing. And we sit with the problem in this country where special apartheid exists at every level. How do we begin to address that? I am a judge. I earn a salary probably more than anybody else in this room. I can't afford to buy a house in Sea Point or Claremont or Clifton or one of those areas. The price structure, the way that this system is organized to protect wealth is so that it remains white. We have this anomalous situation where people are moved out of the city. And those that run this province and the city refuse to do anything about it. Why have a golf course in the middle of Greenpoint where that can provide housing for thousands of people, or Mowbray for that matter? Golf courses are the privilege, knocking a ball around is a privilege of the very rich. But it also means that land in city centres is used for spurious purposes, where they could be addressed, where land issues could be addressed, where shortage of housing could be addressed. What land redistribution that everybody talks about now is incapable of implementation. How does one to land without a paradigm in which redistribution takes place? In the Russian Revolution, redistribution of land took place. Because when the revolution was in progress, city by city, they took over villages and towns, and their units of Soviets, as they call them, dividing the land according to the best needs of the population. In this country, we passed that point. We're now in 2019. How are we going to redistribute wealth? And I reminded of the words, again, Jeff, from the Unity Movement. Said, those who differ with us seek a place in the bourgeois sun. It means that those who want a redistribution of land simply want for few people to get portions of land for themselves. That's not redistribution of land. That's not sharing the wealth of the country to all who live in it. The aspiration of people is not simply to own land, to own title, but to share in the wealth of the country, to fight with poverty, to have an education for their children, to have food on the table, to look after the welfare of the aged. And that's the aspiration of governing an area, a territory of the country. Now, I'm not saying that what is happening in this country is necessarily not the answer. I'm a judge, I'm staying neutral on this. But what I do say is this, that one must begin to think critically about the future society. How are we really going to leave out these slogans? How are we going to address imbalance in this country? How are we going to redistribute the wealth of this country? How are we going to create a society in which all of us, the dignity of all of us is respected? How are we going to create a society we don't dictate, we don't elect to power those who are in consort with Bibi Netanyahu? How do we create a society in which we can not only advance our own interests, but advance the interests of the people of the world? And I think we can do it, perhaps not as a small grouping, but simply beginning to debate the issues honestly and frankly. To say honestly that, look here, the idea of redistributing land is nothing, it's inconsequential, unless it is accompanied by a paradigm shift of society we live in. That the neoliberal solution which is offered is not a solution to the problems of the world. That solution will simply strengthen the hands of those who want to keep the poor poor and the rich rich. We're faced with enormous challenges in that regard. But the very beginning, very essence of challenge is to honestly stand up and say, what is the answer and how do we begin the answer? How do we grapple with our own history, how we came to be where we are today, and how do we go forward? I'm not saying that it's an impossible task. We're doing it today. I'm telling you, my own way, that society sees defective. that the republic which Plato spoke about, not Plato who runs the city council, the Plato spoke about, may be to be adapted to the demands of the 21st century, that cannot be brought about in a world order in which the hegemony is led by persons such as Donald Trump and others in the world, Theresa May for that matter. And once we begin, and I'm indebted to you for inviting me to speak on the topic of spatial lands, problems of spacious land, because it touches the very core of what we're talking about. It touches the very core of what we should be doing and debating. The other important aspect of social change in this country is our incomplete revolution. You know, I told the story the other day at the Spice Maker function, but I repeat it. You know, when the Truth Commission was introduced, it was an unexpected solution to the problem of this country. Frankly, to be very personal, I never dreamt, nor did I want to be a judge. What my dreams or what I intended to do was to stand up and prosecute those who pursued the apartheid. I wanted them to see blood on the walls, not the blood on the walls I saw when my clients appeared in their courts. I wanted the magistrates and judges to be indicted for crimes against humanity. We were denied that. We were denied our own Nuremberg to save the white minority in this country. Now, the late Dalla was my good friend and comrade, knew that under pressure as well as from his political party. And perhaps also, I accept that the reality of the time would not have permitted a Nuremberg elected for the Truth and Reconciliation Committee. But Mandela, as you all know, did think in racial terms. And one of the things Mandela said was, there's no colored person on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And he told Dalla to appoint Neville Alexander to the Truth and Reconciliation. But Dalla suspected what Neville would say. So I was then a judge, and Dalla was the Minister of Justice. And he called me in my chambers and he said, okay, will you do me a favor? President Mandela wants Neville Alexander on the Truth and the Reconciliation Commission. So then I realized that he doesn't want to phone Neville himself. That's why he called me. I called Neville, and he listened to me and he laughed. And he's thanks but no thanks. With short, without thinking, he said thanks but no thanks. I think, to his credit, he understood the historical import of the TRC was going to be about. And he did not participate. But then following the colored, I use that word, tradition, Denzel Potgieter, my friend and colleague, was appointed to the TRC. So Mandela got his colored man, but he did not get Neville Alexander. But those were the shenanigans that went beyond setting up the TRC. But there were greater shenanigans. I wanted to testify against the judicial system that prevailed in this country before apartheid. I knew it. I appeared for 20 continuous years in apartheid courts. They said, no, you're a junior judge. No senior judges in the country will go. Senior judges in the country were Arthur Chaskelson, Ismail Mohammed, Gerald Friedman, senior advocate Peter Odens, who acted for the wrong side of the years I knew. But they went to the TRC. They gave a muted version of what had been happening in this country for 300 years. So even then, in that instance, and perhaps I failed. I confess that perhaps I should have gone to the TRC on my own and said, look, this is not really what they say happened. These chaps were real rats. And they implemented apartheid law in its worst without any sympathy for anybody. But in any case, that's not a mystery. But the consequence of that was that we see Imam Shaykh, Harun, and others, the issue of the unfinished business persisted. You know, the counsel in the inquest, one of the counsel in the inquest of Imam Harun was the late Ben Keys. And I was with him when he died in Oman, so I was his attorney. And in the days preceding his death, he often spoke of many things. And one of the things, incidentally, that he often spoke about, he applied his mind to whether, and he debated with me in the true tradition of Socrates, whether we were not misreading the situation of 1979, the aftermath of 1976, whether in fact South Africa was not in a revolutionary state. But the one thing he was very upset about, and even I could sense his upset 10 years later, is upset about the fact the finding was made in the Imam Harun case. He said, in that case, the magistrate was apartheid at his worst. They established scientifically on the post-mortem reports that the Imam had been murdered. He couldn't possibly have fallen down the stairs and sustained the multiple and the places where the injuries were sustained. He said, he was always very upset about the fact how that finding went against them in that case. And it struck me now when I spoke to Muhammad as a friend of mine, he's not here today, that we should actually reopen this inquest. Now, inquests simply make a finding as whether what caused your death. It doesn't find anybody guilty. But the cause of death is an important historical fact. We cannot have on the record that Imam Harun was killed, or died because he fell down a flight of steps on a bar of soap. He died because he was tortured and murdered. And that must be, to this day, has not been ventilated in the local court. The post-mortem reports are available. The policemen may all be dead. Nobody may be prosecuted. But for the historical record, not simply for us, but for future generations, must be able to state unequivocally on record as to what happened. The same thing in the Timor inquest. They've got the right to have it open. We hope to do that in the instance of Imam Harun as well. The decision of the Harun family, from hindsight, not to go to the TRC was correct. Because it's most unlikely that they would have come across, would have made any finding which would have impacted upon them. So, inquests, I did one major inquest in my life. Well, I did two. One was council, one was the other one has nothing to do with the subject under discussion, so I won't tell you about that. I'll tell you that on another day. But the other inquest was the inquest in the death of Asperonier. I heard that inquest. And the simple finding there was that the cause of death was not pilot error, it was unforeseen circumstances that resulted in his death. The cloud cover in Georgia that day was so bad that they lost direction. They flew into a mountain instead of flying over the sea. That resulted in the crash and the death of Nancy Clooney. But that's the sort of thing that an inquest does. It investigates the circumstances in which death has resulted. Now, in the case of Imam Harun, there are many pathologists that will testify as to what inference can be drawn from the injuries. And I'm sure we'll be able to put together, so many people, pathologists have volunteered to do this. So we can proceed with it as soon as we can. But it remains an important issue that justice has been denied to me. I can understand the anger of the family of Port Kalata, Steve Biko, and so on, because they've been denied a moment in which they would be able to say, yes, my father was killed, and he was killed by apartheid. They've been denied that opportunity. Similarly for the Harun family. I don't think one can wrap it under the carpet and say it's over and done with, let's not revisit history. But I think we owe it to them, we owe it to our history to do that. So to conclude, let me say this. Both with regard to spatial justice and with regard to inquest and the uncovering of circumstances that led to the death of our great heroes and shaheeds. This is an ongoing process. Thank you very much.